In this video, I'm going to give you 5 ways in which to manage your willpower. Managing your willpower is a key skill in life that you must have, particularly as an alpha male 2.0, building up your woman life and your location independent business. I am Caleb Jones, and this is Alpha Male 2.0. I make a multi-6-figure location independent international income while dating multiple attractive women, and I show men like you how to do the same thing. Now, before I get into the 5 things really quick, some people will say, well, if you have to use willpower, you're doing it wrong. You have to do X, Y, and Z, so that way you don't use willpower, because using willpower is hard and using willpower isn't a long-term solution. And instead you want to use things like NLP or find things you like or do habit stacking or various other things where you don't have to use willpower. These people are correct. Ideally, you don't want to have to use willpower if you can at all help it. Here's the problem. In life, sometimes you're just going to have to willpower it out, at least at the beginning of the process. That's just the way life works sometimes. There will be scenarios in your life or new habits you want to form or new projects or changes in your life you need to make where none of the cool techniques are going to work for you. You're just going to have to willpower it out, at least for a little bit temporarily. I agree you shouldn't use willpower as a long-term solution to a very particular problem. I agree with that. But there are times in your life you're going to need to use willpower. And right now, I'm going to give you the top 5 ways in which to do that. Number 1, top of the list, make sure you get at least 7 hours of sleep every night. What? What does that have to do with willpower? Everything. Everything. Dude, everything. If you are easily distracted, if you don't feel like you don't have a lot of discipline, if you feel like you just can't stick with things, the odds are over-fucking-whelming that you are not getting at least, and this is a minimum now, at least 7 hours of sleep per night. Some guys need 8 hours of sleep. Some men need 9 hours of sleep. It's between 7 and 9 for most men. For me personally, what I do is I track my sleep. I've done this for a long time now with this ring right here, or a ring. Get this for $300. It'll track your sleep and give you all the data you need. I know for a fact that I get the ideal amount of sleep when I am in bed for 8 hours and 15 minutes. Because it's normal and healthy to be awake for approximately 15% of the night. So I know if I'm in bed for 8 hours and 15 minutes, I'm going to get 7.5 hours of real sleep, which is perfect for me. Now, you might need less, you might need more. I don't know. You need to experiment. But if you clearly know, and I know a lot of you, you're nodding your head right now. If you know you're not getting 7 hours minimum, maybe 8, every night, 7 nights a week, your willpower is suffering. It's going to be 10 times harder for you to accomplish what you want in life if you're not getting enough sleep. I've talked about this a billion times on my blogs, in my books, including The Unchained Man at alphamalebook.com, including other videos. Sleep is foundational, and we live in an era where most people are not getting enough sleep. Get your 7 hours or 8 hours, or in some cases 9 hours of sleep a night, and you will, within a week or less, notice how easier it is to stick with things and to work on new projects and new habits. Technique number 2 for managing willpower. Do things in bite-sized chunks. This is a time management 101 thing, but it also helps manage in terms of things like willpower when you're doing something new or something you don't enjoy or something that feels tedious to you. Don't sit down and try to work on something for 4 or 5 or 6 hours straight. I see guys do this all the time. It doesn't work, especially if it's something that you consider tedious or something that is new to you. You're new at it, so you're not doing it very well. If it's something you consider tedious or it's new, you need to block off bite-sized chunks of time, half an hour at a time, 45 minutes at a time, 50 minutes at a time, 60 minutes at a time. Some of you are using the Pomodoro technique, where you work for 50 minutes or 55 minutes and take 5 to 10 minutes off and then work another 50, 55 minutes. That's fine. That can work for some people. But don't try to sit down and just blow your brains out for several hours. Again, unless it's work you really enjoy, when you get into a flow state. When I'm writing, if I'm writing a book or something like that, I could write for 4 or 5, 6 hours straight because I'm a natural writer. It's what I like to do. But if I'm doing lots of disparate tasks like email and bookkeeping and legal work, it's a pain in the ass for me. So I'm not going to try to do that for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours straight. I'm going to do it for a while, take a little break, do something else, then come back and focus on it again for a brief period of time. This also applies to projects. So for example, here's an easy one. If you have a house and you have a horrible, disgusting garage with all this garbage in it, and you really want to clean out your garage, you don't say, okay, today I'm going to clean the whole garage. Maybe a better thing to do would be to spend 1 hour a day or an hour and a half a day working just a little bit on that garage, a little bit every day, and then really finishing up maybe on that Saturday or something like that. Bite-sized little chunks. The reason most guys don't get started with big projects is because they look at the entire project. They go, I could never do that. I could never start a business that makes $85,000 a year location dependent. Don't worry about that. Try to make $500. $500 location dependent. Can you do that? Is that beyond your ability? No, it's not. You can do $500. Then do another 500. Then do 600. Then do 1,000. Bite-sized chunks. You might need to do that. Otherwise, your willpower is going to work against you. It's not going to work. Before I go on, there's something you should do. You should subscribe to this channel if you like this content. You should click the dumb notification bell. You should leave a comment on this video and a like on this video. Doesn't really matter what the comment says. The more interactivity I get on this content, the more of this content I will provide for you for free. Kind of nice. Technique number 3 to manage willpower is to focus on the pain of not doing it. I have discussed this several times before, both in past videos and on my blogs and in my books. I also discuss this in great detail at our SMIC program at joinsmic.com. We talk about this a lot. When you are not feeling motivated to do something, or when you procrastinate on something, or when you just keep putting something off, or you don't want to really do it, but you know you should, often that means you're focused on the pain of doing it. You need to reorient your focus to the pain of not doing it. I am very good at this. I am very good at reminding myself of what will happen in my life, not just today, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 25 years from now. If I don't accomplish certain things in my life, I'm going to be really, really, really unhappy. And as I've talked about in my podcasts, the number one person I focus on in my life is me 5 years into the future. I want the me 5 years into the future to be very, very, very happy. And I know if I don't get certain things done today or this week, things that I may not want to do, that guy's going to be in big trouble. And I don't want trouble as I get older. And I'm almost 50. And the older you get, the more sensitive you get to this. You want your later years to be good, not bad. So what you need to do is start fantasizing in a negative way of all the negative things that will happen to you over time if you don't get off your ass and if you don't do this, if you don't lose weight, or if you don't start that business, or if you don't figure out your woman life, or you don't move out of the collapsing Western world, hint, hint. If you don't do these things and years go by, you haven't done them, how will you feel about yourself? What will your life look like? You're gonna be happy? You're gonna be fucking miserable. Focus on the pain of not doing it. I have talked about before how one of my internalized fears is to be an old man and have no money. Because when I was a young man, teenager, I ran into various old people who had no money and had to work at McDonald's even though they were old, 60s, 70s, 80s. And I was horrified, and that stuck with me. And so that's a fear I have. So I know if I don't get my ass to work, I'm going to be one of these old people who doesn't have any money, and that terrifies the fuck out of me. I'm focused on the pain of not doing it. You're focused on the pain of doing it incorrecto. Technique number 4, do it in the morning. You don't have to do it first thing in the morning, but do it in the morning. Willpower, and they now know this is a scientific fact, is like a reservoir of water. Over time, it drains throughout the day. You have less willpower in the evening than you do in the morning because you've made less decisions. You only have a certain amount of emotional energy throughout the day, and you only have a certain amount of willpower throughout the day. So you're more likely to follow through on things that are new or that you consider tedious. That's kind of the two topics we're covering today, new or tedious. In the morning, if you do them in the morning first thing or close to first thing, then if you do them at 5 p.m. or 9 p.m. or 10 p.m. or later, or even in the afternoon, after you've already made a bunch of decisions and done a bunch of other things and drained your willpower account. By the way, it is also better to do a lot of things in the morning, like exercise. You'll get more benefit health-wise if you exercise in the morning than if you do in the evening. You'll get more benefit in terms of your day-to-day operations if you meditate in the morning than if you do right before bed. So there's other benefits doing things in the morning. I have an entire morning routine, which is kind of advanced, do a lot of stuff. You can watch that video right here on everything I do in the morning. And there's a reason I do those things in the morning, because I benefit from these things much better than if I do them in the afternoon or the evening. And I have more willpower in the morning, so it's easier for me to do tasks I find tedious or new first thing in the morning, or at least close to it. By the way, if you're watching this video before early March of 2022, we have coaching and event NFTs that will be available very soon. You can check them out at a2heroes.com. All kinds of NFTs with all kinds of real world benefits attached to every NFT. Plus, there's a really cool comic book there. Best comic book you'll ever read in your entire life, and it's free. You can download it there, a2heroes.com. Check it out. Last technique, number 5. Only do one willpower thing per day. This goes back to your limited reservoir. You don't want to attempt multiple things that require willpower from you in a given 24-hour period. Here's an example. Let's say you don't work on your business at all normally. You have a job, you go home and you watch TV, okay? And let's say you're 100 pounds overweight. You got to lose weight. Don't start off the next day where you're going to say, okay, I'm going to work on my business for 3.5 hours. I'm going to time my work, and I'm only going to eat 1,700 calories today. Both of those things are going to require willpower, and the odds are pretty good you will not be able to do either one because you're trying too much. You're trying to suck too much water out of that 24-hour willpower reservoir that you have. Instead, focus only on one new habit or one major change of something new or tedious per day. Don't work on 3 or 4 or 5 things at once. That's not going to work. One willpower thing per day. And look, man, I relate to this. I am still working on losing weight, and there are times I have to willpower this stuff out, and on days I have to really willpower out my calorie intake or different ways of eating or fasting, what have you. I make sure in my business life, in my business schedule for that day, that I'm not doing anything too willpower taxing, that I'm not focusing on anything new or something really tedious, because I want to reserve that willpower for the other things I need. You do not have unlimited willpower. That's not how the human brain works. One thing at a time. If you want to watch another video on the biggest reason why you're not taking action, because I know what that reason is, it's right here in this video. Watch this. It'll help. See you in the next video. This one right here. Bye.